You guys are already in the program.
Yeah.
If you'd like to help or ask any questions, or if you have questions afterwards, if you want to come back in like half an hour, we'll have pizza and we can help you answer questions. Yeah. Or you can stay. You can stay too.
I would like to know.
Oh. Josh, can you see me in that from this angle? None of you will be taped.
Yeah.
Right? Let me explain why I'm doing it. Because as part of the open house, we have like a lot of international students too. So what we want to do is try to tape the open house and to show it on the internet. That's all. So none of you will be taped. Don't worry. And if you are, we edit out. It's just that you can see from my angle.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, you're in frame. So.
Okay, that's good. All right. So I'm a firm believer in starting on time. So I'd like to welcome everybody to the Masters Economics Open House. I'm sure some people will join us in class right now. This gives you an opportunity to get a better understanding of our Masters Economics programs to see if this is something in alignment with your career aspirations. If you want to just sign in, grab a brochure. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an overview of the Masters Economics program, and we're fortunate enough to have 4 or 5 students who can help answer. I just believe that since I don't take classes personally, if you have questions about classes, that a good resource is current students, because they can give you an idea of what's required, what they go through on a daily basis, and their feedback about the program. So some people ask why a graduate degree in economics. A master's or a PhD in economics is required for many private sector economist jobs and for advancement with more responsible positions. Before I forget, let me hand these out as well. This is just copies of the PowerPoint, and you can go along. Depending upon the type of job or the industry or the organization, economists with a bachelor's degree is usually qualified for entry-level positions, but master's level positions also require more skills in order to apply and qualify for certain positions. Again, a master's degree is required to qualify for more responsible research and depending upon the type of position. When you look on Google or Monster or any of these job sites, it'll tell you what qualifies you for a certain position. What you want to focus on is a skill set, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. A master's degree coupled with a strong background in economic theory, mathematics, etc., gives you certain skills that are needed for certain types of jobs. What you want to focus on, especially if you're considering your graduate program, are employable skills. Employable skills mean what are companies seeking. When they write their posting on a job position, they are looking for certain skills that applicants have. If they don't have these skills, the company's not even going to give you an interview. I don't know how many people have done career searching or anything like that, but it's important that depending upon the type of job that you're looking for, it has to be a good fit and it has to be a good match. Again, whether you're applying to our program or you're looking at alternative programs, you want to focus on what skills are needed for the job you're looking for or for that next career step. Some students in our program go on to do corporate, some students go on to do government jobs, and some students go on to PhD degrees. What you have to figure out from all the information gathering, is this a good alignment for you for your next career goal? The basic objective of our program is applying economics to train students to apply economic analysis in several fields. Some people hear about economics, by show of hands, how many are undergrad economics majors? Okay, good. It's not a requirement of being admitted to the program, so that's an important thing because we have people from all different types of programs who come to our Master's Economics program. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. Our emphasis is on building analytical skills based on economics as an applied science. So we try to develop professionals who understand the work that economists do. But economics in general, it can be pretty vague. So a lot of people say, well, you're doing a master's in economics, how is that really going to help you? And I'm going to show you a little bit about what kinds of areas that our students go. We have an applied nature to our program. It's not just theory-based, but it's also practical-based. What you want to do when you're thinking about a graduate program is what theory and what applied can I use for the position that it is that I'm looking for. Focusing on the skill set again. You have to figure out with all the classes that you're taking, with the jobs that you're kind of looking at, even though you don't have to know what you want to do for the rest of your life. Is this a program that's going to best meet your needs? What our students do is gain a skill set that they're able to take with them to the marketplace and to be able to find that next position. Some of these positions offer a high premium, especially in certain skill sets. What makes our program a little bit different than other programs? We have a multidisciplinary approach, meaning that you can take courses in economics, but you could also take courses outside of the department towards your degree. Now, not any class can be used towards a degree. You're allowed to take a certain percentage outside of our department, such as management classes, law classes, geography. A lot of students have taken management classes. We do this because it complements what it is that you're interested in. The focus of our program, we try to serve three broad clienteles. One is students who are looking for private sector jobs, whether it's investment banking, insurance, financial services, or consulting. The second one is government or public enterprise positions. And the third are students interested in the program as a stepping stone to the PhD degree. As far as percentages go, I would say probably 60 to 80% of students focus on the first. I would say maybe 5% focus on the second, and about 10 to 15% focus on the third. Now, a master's degree isn't required as far as our program if you're interested in the PhD. A lot of students think that when they're applying to PhD programs that a master's is required. That's not the case, at least in our program, and you have to find out in different PhD programs what's required. But a lot of our students who are interested in PhD, maybe they didn't get accepted initially with a bachelor's degree, they do our program in addition to taking mathematics classes to supplement their application for a PhD program. And our students have been admitted not only to University of Buffalo, but University of Southern California, Chicago, NYU, some pretty quality schools. I'll show you on the website where you can find more information on where our students go. The flexibility of our program is another advantage that we have with our program. You can do one of three options. You can do the MA program, which is 30 credits, the MA plus an advanced certificate, which is 45 credits, or the MS program, which is 45 credits. And you can start with one and then decide to switch to the other depending upon your needs and your interests. Faculty and staff, if you haven't been on our website, you can see that our faculty come from a wide variety of schools, universities, and areas. We have pretty much faculty from all over the world who are in our department. Students also in our program come from all over the world, from North America to Asia, to Europe, to Africa. Pretty much if you name the country, there's somebody there. What I would also say about our students is that we have a pretty social environment. We have a lot of organizations within the Economics Graduate Student Association to complement the academic activity that goes on. The success of our program. In 1998, the Master's Economics program was reestablished. Many years ago during the 60s, there was a program, and it was mainly a nighttime program. But they decided, based on the demand and the skill set that employers wanted, that they would reinvest into the Master's Economics program. So in 1998, you had about 24 students who started the program. Today, we have approximately 200 students who are in our program. Now, a lot of people ask, well, why all of a sudden do we have 200 students in our program? I think, personally, it's the way economics is perceived now. It's, a lot of people joke it's a dismal science, but they're beginning to realize that the skill set an economics degree gives you has a lot of value. If you do a search on on most work sites, you'll see an economics degree has a lot of value. Of course, it depends upon what type of job that you're looking for. The second component to why we're really successful is the array of courses that we offer, specifically in the financial economics sector, which really have proven to be a great interest among students. Now you might ask, what can I do with a grad degree in economics? You might get that from family members too. Well, if you're going to graduate economics, what are you going to do with that? Again, focusing on the skills. In the financial sector, these are some examples here, or even in government. Market analysis, investment analysis, statistician, forecaster. Other banking might include a financial planner, a pricing analyst, a policy analyst. So we're looking more of the side of not on the sales, but the analytical side. Being able to take the tools that you learn in our graduate program and utilize them for the type of work that you would be doing. The second, government and academia, whether it's a cost analysis for a branch of government, policy analysts. Some students go on who complete our program in the Master's of Economics actually teach. Now they teach at a community college or some four-year colleges. With a master's degree, you wouldn't be eligible in most university research. You wouldn't be eligible because they demand a doctorate in economics to do that. But some of our students who do graduate the program do go on to teach either at community or four-year colleges, but it depends upon the individual college or university. Again, the important part here is focusing on the skills that you want to obtain when looking for a job or career. So some of you might be looking at an MBA or a Master's of Economics, a Master's in Finance, a Master's in Mathematics. What you need to figure out is, are these skills from the different programs going to afford you the opportunity later on after you graduate from this program? And that's very, very important. Here's the overview of the Master's Economics program. We have 3 Master's Economics, and then we have the joint program. Now, just by show of hands, a joint program, anybody who's interested? Okay. If you haven't done so already, I just want to mention you want to check out the economics.buffalo.edu. But what I'll do right now is I'm going to give you a brief overview of the 4 programs, more or less. Now, this is the MA program, which is 30 credits. You have your 5 core classes, and then you have your 5 elective classes. And out of those 5 electives, up to 2 can be outside of the department. They don't have to be. They can be, all 5 of those classes could be electives. We just give students the option to take, you know, specific management, specific geography, specific courses that are offered. And I'm going to go, when I go show you the website section, I'll show you an example of some of the classes that are fall under that category. In addition to the 10 classes, you need to pass the micro and macro comp exam, which is offered 3 times a year, but I'll get into that. Admission requirements in the MA program, we generally expect a 3.0 to 3.33. If you don't have at least a B average, or we believe your qualitative ability is suspect and questionable, the committee will ask for a GRE or GMAT test be taken. If you're questioning whether or not you would have to take a GRE or GMAT, we can talk after the program and go into that further. It's also understood that if you're coming from math or science or engineering, that you're going to have a lower GPA than other disciplines, and that's taken into consideration as well. Bachelor's degree. This doesn't apply to the joint program, and I'll talk about that later. You have to have a completed bachelor's degree in order to apply to our program. So if you're planning on applying for spring 2010, you have to have your bachelor's degree completed by, the start of classes. If you're planning on graduating, beginning our program in fall 2010, you have to have graduated before August 28, 2010. If you're graduating September 1st, 2010, you can still be eligible, and you can talk to me about that as well. Here's an important part, is that you don't have to have an undergraduate economics degree in order to apply to our program, and that's very important. Of course, it's very valuable having the background in order to apply and to succeed in our program, but there are people who do perfectly well in our program who've never taken economics. One person many years ago was a dance major, a theater major, never took basic mathematics in their first year of college, and wound up being a 4.0 student and went on to do a PhD degree. Now, that might be an extreme case, but it really depends upon your background and how much work you put into the program. Part-time study. For those of you who are interested in part-time study, you can do that. Now, for domestic students, it's not usually an issue. For international students, unfortunately, part-time study towards the end of the program is not really an option. And it also depends upon what type of visa that you hold or your current U.S. status. If you have questions about your immigration status or your visa status, whether you can study, we can talk about that as well. There's also something called non-matriculated study. Non-matriculated means that you're technically not in the program, but you can take up to 4 classes while in our program, just to see and gain a sense of what it's like to be in our program. We also have joint programs I'll talk more about the BA/MA. But we also have relationships with the law school for the JD/MA and the school the engineering program, the MS in industrial engineering. Basically, if you do a collaborative program or a joint program such as the JD/MA or the MSMA, it precludes you from having to register or complete additional classes. So in other words, if the JD is 90 credits and the MA is 30 credits, that's 120 credits, but you can graduate in as little as 114 credits. But if you have questions, if you fall into the category of JD/MA or MSMA, please feel free to ask after this. And I'll talk more about the BA and the BAMS. The BA/MA program is for students who are currently economics students. You have to be an undergraduate student in order to apply. The nice part about an undergraduate joint program is if you are going to aspire to do a master's program and you only have a certain number of credits, then you can save yourself additional upper level classes in order to complete the joint program. It really is the intention is to save yourself 15 credits at the upper division level if you're currently an economics student and you aspire to do a master's program. Students who are looking to apply to the BA/MA should have at least a B average, and they could be asked to take a GRE or GMAT. It just depends. You don't have to have all of your undergraduate economic classes completed in order to apply, but at the end of the day, you'll still need 105 undergraduate economic credits and 30 or 45 graduate economic credits. When can you start taking classes at the master's level if you're a joint degree? Well, once you're admitted, you can begin taking master's classes. And if you have specific questions about how the logistics work about the BA/MA, I can definitely talk to you about that. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the Advanced Certificate Program. The Advanced Certificate Program is on top of the MA program. So if you were to decide to pursue this degree, you get your MA, one degree, and then you get another degree called the Advanced Certificate. Now some people don't know what an Advanced Certificate is if you talk to them in the professional world. Some schools have it and some schools don't. I think most employers recognize it, but when you write your resume, you would write MA, Economics, Advanced Certificate in one of the following disciplines. We have 6 disciplines that we offer. That comprises of the 5 core classes plus the 5 electives. These first 2 are really just the MA program, and the Advanced Certificate classes are, each concentration has 5 Advanced Certificate courses required, in addition to the micro and macro comp exam. These are the 6 specializations. As far as our most popular, it's by far financial. Afterwards, it's international, and afterwards, the other 4, usually one student graduates every year from each of the respective ones. Why is financial most popular? It's just a skill set, and a lot of our students are interested in the banking and financial sector. That doesn't mean you can't complete economics and health services or urban and regional. You would just have to work with the director since certain courses aren't offered as often as other courses. You don't have to pick a specialization when you're applying to the program. You wind up taking the courses that sorry. You wind up taking the courses that are that are required for each of the specializations. Why should you consider doing the Advanced Certificate? An MA in Economics is great, and having Advanced Certificate courses allows you to focus in a specific concentration. So the more courses you take, the more skills you obtain, the more marketable you are. That's basically the idea. Do you have to do the Advanced Certificate? No. Is the Advanced Certificate better than the MA? I wouldn't argue yes or no. I think you need to focus on the skills again that you're looking to obtain. A lot of people sometimes ask me, is the MA better than the MS or is the MS better than the MA? One degree is not better than the other. When you're thinking about what you want to do, you have to again focus on the skills, because if the skills for the MA aren't in alignment with the job that you're looking for, then there's no value to that. Or if the skills that you're looking to obtain to further your career are part of the MS, then it makes more sense to do that. You might not know that during your first semester what you would want to do, but that gives, because of the flexibility of our program, you can change after your first semester. Do you need to declare your intent to do the advanced certificate? Again, that's a no. You take it by the required classes that are required for both the MA and the advanced certificate. Some people are ambitious and they ask, can I do 2 advanced certificates? And the answer is yes, you could do 2. However, it would take a minimum of 60 credits as opposed to the 45 credits. So you have 30 credits for your MA, 15 credits for advanced certificate number 1, and then 15 credits for advanced certificate number 2. In the 5 years that I've been here, only one person has done it, just out of pure interest. They were interested in both financial and international. Well, how long is it going to take me to finish the program? From the time you begin the program, for the MA, it's going to take no less than 1 year. So you can't graduate in less than a year if you're planning on doing the MA program. To finish the advanced certificate, no less than a year and a half. It's a 45 credit program. 45 credits is 15 classes. It's not realistic to take 15 classes in 2 semesters. It's not gonna happen. Our summer offerings are limited, so we can't guarantee, courses we offer in the summer. That's why we want to set the expectations as far as the timeline of how long you would expect to be here. How many classes can you take outside of our economics department? For the MA program, it's 2. And as far as the advanced certificate, depending upon the advanced certificate, it's usually as high as 3. For the financial economics advanced certificate, there are specific classes, but for the other advanced certificates, in order to complete the program, you might have to take additional classes outside. Comprehensive exam. Comprehensive exam is required for all programs, whether it's the MA or the MS. The advanced certificate's an add-on, so it's not like you take a separate comprehensive exam. It's an exam that's given 3 times a year, and both parts of the exam have to be completed in order to confer the degree. So you can have all of your classes completed, but you still have to pass the comp exam in order to pass to confer your degree. And it's only based on micro and macro, so it's not a comprehensive exam of all the classes that you learned in the program. It's just based on your micro and macro, and the first time you would be eligible to take it is your first semester. Oh, I'm sorry, at the end of your first semester, towards the beginning of your second semester. Internships. Some people ask, do we find internships for our students? Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to find internships for individual students. We don't have our own career services office like some of the programs like the School of Management. We try to encourage and we try to give the tools to students and any information to help them, but there's a career services office in Capon, which some of you might already be familiar with. We also have some, by the way, internship is not a requirement of the program, and that's important to know. Independent study. We have an option called independent study where you have the ability to work with professors on topics that aren't covered in a class. For example, if you wanted to find the economic impact of gambling on New York State, you can work with a professor at their discretion, if they agree to it, to work on some subjects that may not currently be covered. What's nice about independent study is that it's pretty flexible, and you can utilize it towards your career. So for example, if you want to work for Citigroup or something like that, maybe you do an independent research and run some regression analysis that can be valuable for job searching. Using the independent research to do your own research, and then taking that research and showing it to an employer and saying, look, I did some individual research which I think may add value to your company. Independent research is not a requirement of our program. Course waivers. As far as course waivers go, if you're a current undergraduate economics student or if you've taken economics work, you can request a course waiver for only a required class. You don't waive elective classes. So if you've taken like micro or macro or some of the courses that are undergraduate level, you can request a course waiver. Now that's up to the discretion of Dr. Chang, who's the director of the program. So if you're looking for a course waiver, there's a form that needs to be filled out to request. The important part here, well, I'll go to this step. For Econometrics 1 and Econometrics 2, which are both requirements of our program, you need to take an econometrics examination. And that's not given until the beginning of the first semester or your first semester. This is important. Just because you waive out of a class does not mean you take fewer classes. So, for example, if you get waived out of 2 classes or 3 classes, you may say to yourself, well, all I need is 21 credits and I'll graduate. That's not true. You still need the 30 credits to graduate or the 45 credits to graduate the advanced certificate or the MS program. What you do is you take electives in place of waived classes. The idea of waivers is that you don't replicate work that you're already proficient in, because it doesn't help you. That's just repeating a course. Now, I understand that some people don't take waivers in order to get A's or higher grades, and that's up to the student. We wouldn't say you have to or don't have to. It's your choice whether or not to take a waiver. We just offer the option of taking waivers because we just don't want to have you replicate work that you're already proficient in, because then otherwise you're paying money and tuition for no purpose. You're replicating something that's not going to add anything to your arsenal of tools. I'm going to talk a little bit about the MS program. The MS program in general is something that was adopted 2 or 3 years ago. It was for people who aspired to do more rigorous training at the analytical financial sector, not necessarily sector, but who wanted to gain some more tools. It emphasizes more or less applied econometric tools that are usually utilized in most organizations. And some of the people who also do the MS might be better suited to go on to a PhD degree because it's more quantitatively driven. As far as the 45 credits for the MS program, these are the core classes that are required. You'll see that they're identical: 505, 507, 580, 581. But then what's required is 526, 582, and 561. So some of the classes are the same for the MA and MS, but then you'll see that some of the classes differ. And again, when I talk about the skill set that you want to obtain, focus on the classes as opposed to necessarily the degree. A lot of people like the way an MS sounds as opposed to an MA. That's great. But when you write a resume, the employer is not really going to know the difference between an MS and an MA unless it's highlighted on your resume. Because when you write your resume, you want to write your resume for the job. So if the employer is looking for somebody who's proficient with has done some forecasting or has done some SAS or just done some other things, an MS and MA at the top of your resume isn't going to indicate that unless you write that. And that's an important thing to know. As far as the tracks for our MS program, we have the financial economics, the international economics, and we have something that's called the applied microeconometric track, but that has to be worked out with the director, which may involve taking some additional classes because the classes for that specific track aren't necessarily offered all the time. So for financial economics, these are the core classes, sorry, not the core classes, but the additional classes. So you have your 7 core, plus your 5 required, plus 3 electives. For your international, it's the 7 required, plus 4, plus 1 of these, plus 3 electives. So it comes out to 15 courses, which is the equivalent of 45 credits. And then the applied econometrics track, 7 classes, 5 plus your 3 electives. So what electives can you use? This is just an example of some of the electives you can use, and you can use an elective from a different track. So if you're doing the financial track, you can use an elective from the international track. Usually there's so much flexibility involved where, it's based on your interests. It's pretty easy to pick up the electives that you're interested in. Admissions, they're very similar to the MA program. The only difference is that calculus is a requirement of the program. For the MA program, it's expected that you have 1-year calculus. For the MS, you must have 1-year calculus by the end of your first semester in the MS program. That just means that if you haven't taken calculus in undergrad, that you would have to take it during your first semester or second semester, depending upon your needs, or not needs, but depending upon your undergraduate transcript. Most people have taken calculus, so I don't think it would affect many people in the room. Oftentimes I get a question about, well, if the MA and the MA Advanced Certificate and MS have some required courses, what's really the difference? If you take a thorough look at the courses for the MA, courses for the MA plus Advanced Certificate, and courses for the MS, you'll begin to see that there are some differences. Some of the core courses, like no matter what, you'll be taking micro, macro, econometrics 1, and econometrics 2, whether you do the MA or MS. Then after that, it's going to really depend upon how you want to construct your master's program and what your interests are. Again, focus on the skill set you wish to obtain. The MS program appeals to students who are interested in quantitative research. A lot of people get interested in the tools that they have, but it really does, again, focus on the skills. Why should I get an MS degree? What value does it have? The value also depends upon the type of work one wants to do and the skill set that a particular job demands. What types of jobs can I expect to receive after the MS degree? Again, it depends upon the skill set. So it's easy to say I want to work in the financial industry or I want to work in government, but when you narrow it down, you begin to see, okay, the MS has more alignment with what I want to do, or the MA has more alignment with what I want to do. Will potential employers notice the MS degree on my resume? Again, when you write your resume, you have to focus on the classes that you have. But if they place emphasis on technical skills, they certainly would acknowledge, the MS economics degree. Can you do the MS if you're doing the MA and Advanced Certificate? The answer is no. You either wind up doing the MA Advanced Certificate, or the MS degree, because it's not feasible to do an MA plus the MS because the number of credits that transfer over. There's no value to doing an MA and an MS degree. It's redundancy. So either do MA Advanced, or the MS program. Why do the MS financial track when I can get an MA Advanced Certificate in financial economics? Again, focusing on the skills and what each program, which the list of courses each program comprises. Is a thesis involved in our program? The answer is no. But we do have what's the comp exam that's required. You can do independent research with a professor and do a thesis, but a thesis is not a requirement in our master's programs. Can I do a 3-credit internship towards the MS degree? The answer is no. As far as like 1-credit and 3-credit internships go, you could do as many 1-credit internships as you want, but only the 3-credit internship can be used to the Advanced Certificate. Comprehensive exam we talked already a little bit about. Internships we talked about. Independent study. Again, how long it is to do the program. For the MS program, it's 1.5 to 2 years. From the time that you begin, it just depends how many courses you're comfortable taking. Some of our students take 4 classes a semester, some people take 5 classes, and some people take 6. We advise no more than 5 classes a semester, but we understand people come with different backgrounds. So it just depends. One nice advantage, I guess, is if you spread it out over 2 years and you aspire to do a PhD, is that you can take other classes that helps prepare you. So in other words, if you aspire to do a PhD and you want to be competitive, a lot of places mathematics is quite important. It's almost essential. So some of our students, what they do is they take our program, but they also take undergraduate or graduate math classes towards, in order to apply to a PhD program. Some of those courses, graduate mathematics courses, count towards your master's economics, but undergraduate classes do not count towards a master's degree. But some students will take undergraduate linear algebra, probability theory, undergraduate other courses to make themselves competitive for PhD programs. Admission requirements I talked a little bit about before. It's very identical to the MA. Calculus, you must have 1 year working knowledge by the end of your first semester. As far as deadlines for applications go, how many people are interested in spring 2010? Anyone? Okay. For fall 2010, for spring 2010, basically within the next 6 to 8 weeks, we still accept on a rolling admissions basis. We also accept on a rolling admissions for fall 2010. If you're interested in fall 2010 and you're a domestic student, you really have until April 2010. If you're an international student, if you're currently studying on visa, you're currently in the United States, so it's not a problem. You still have until more or less April, May of 2010. But if you're an international student outside the United States, we really ask for it in March because the I-20 process takes a long time. Visa questions we can talk about individually if you have them. Now, I would like to introduce some of the students who are here, who are graciously, took their time to answer any questions, because I think from a credibility standpoint, by asking questions to current students, it's a big help. I also want to show you, before I defer to the students, our website a little bit, where you can find some helpful information. Okay, so here's our department website, undergraduate programs. doesn't work. So you can see MS, MA. I want to show you this placements, masters. Some of the student interviews are a little outdated, but the table down here will give you an example of where our students have gone. So this gives you an idea of, if you're thinking about doing our program, the types of jobs that you might be interested in. Also, if you click back onto the graduate programs, you can see a lot of information from prospective students, academics. It gives you a lot of what the core requirements are. It gives you a lot of information that's out there. The last thing I want to suggest that you do is, this is just an example. Again, you don't have to know what you want to do with the rest of your life, but maybe you don't know what skills are necessary to compete in the market. This is just a sample, but I want to so you can see here, this is just an advertisement for a job, what the requirements are. It's probably not a great example. What I'm trying to point out here is that if these are the requirements of the job and these are the qualifications, you want to make sure that if our degree is going to give you the value that you need to pursue these types of jobs. That's probably not a great example, but I'll find one in the meantime. So with that being said, what I'd like to do is, if we have some current students here, does anyone have questions for me that aren't individual? Or, if you have individual questions, please come up to me. And what I want to do is encourage you to talk to current students as well. Pizza should be here about 5:45. So if you want to hang out for 10 minutes, I have 2 sheet pizzas. So please, feel free to stay. And if you have any questions, please let me know. So. If you haven't, please sign on the sign-in sheet, and I want to thank you for taking the time to, come in today. Do you have a question? For the PhD program, THA positions aren't and you could theoretically apply to the PhD if that's what you're interested in too. If you're not in the PhD program, you'll be considered for the master's program. So,
for fall of 2010,
yeah.
The deadline is in April.
We have rolling admissions. I suggest getting applications in April because it's always easier to be admitted and then defer the offer, or don't take the offer as opposed to wait until August or later and then get on a waiting list. And I can guarantee admission, when you're admitted, but if it gets to like June or July or whatever, I don't know. I can't predict the forecast, so that's why I would encourage, sooner rather than later. You can be considered for fall 2010 now, depending upon your background and everything.
And for the GPA, I'm a fourth year, I will be graduating next semester. So with the GPA requirements, that the complete or the current GPA?
Most of the time it's complete. I mean, if you have overall less than 3.0, pretty much be definitive, and you would have to take your consideration. But what you can do is, if you stop by my office, I'd look for your transcript just to see, where you're at. So being you're an undergrad economics major, they would look to really see your performance in academic classes.
So, taking most of my classes this semester, next semester, rather than the past.
Well, that's, see, the DAMA program, I think,
about the registration for that?
What do you mean the registration?
Like, I want to do it for next semester, starting next semester.
So you would apply for this, you would apply for next semester, give me all the application materials, and if you're admitted, depending upon what you're at, so in other words, it depends what stage you're at and how many credits you have. Usually when you're at 105 credits doing a joint major, you're flipped from undergraduate to graduate status. So that's when you coded instead of undergraduate to graduate. But that doesn't mean you couldn't take master's classes as an undergraduate coding because you're admitted to the program. If you weren't admitted to the joint program, you couldn't do that.
Right now I have like about 70, like after this semester, 75 or something like that. So I'm taking like a lot of economic courses already.
If you stop by next week, I could look at the thing. Do that. I want you to ask questions. Josh is over here too. I want you to ask questions. We have a lot of students back there. You know, you can meet with me anytime, but it's hard to meet with students here. You know, please ask questions. And if you really have questions about, you know, how hard the course material is, you're not going to get a better, you know, understanding. I can tell you all the logistics about the program, but I can't tell you how hard it is because, you know, I've been sitting in on the classes, you know, and then they're not paid. So, you know, when you're thinking about a program, you just want to make an informative decision. You know, that's why if it's anything you get from me today, it's the skill set. You know, it's really important because, you know, whether it's an MBA or a master's in math or a master's in finance, whatever it is, you just want to make sure that if you're thinking about grad school, if you're not doing something that's adding to your portfolio, then, you know, why are you doing it? You know, and I'm not saying this is the best program. That's why I would encourage you, if this is in a good alignment with what it is what you want to do, you know, maybe it's not for it. But please ask questions to that. And I will find an example of a good. I have pizza coming too, so good thing I got 2 sheets. I'm gonna check real quick.
Just getting at you. Get interested in various areas of
Delivery will be here in 5 minutes, so please
how
talk.
far is it from your house? From where you stay?
Now, your situation is,
Okay, hold on.
when you take
Do you have a place where you send letters maybe to a place? You just receive. When you send it goes on. Okay.
if you don't have a score, so it's 17 again.
But you know, the post office will show. Yeah.
That's the way, yeah. When are you taking it next time? What's the next one? Oh, is your F1? No, wait, what is your status right now? Well, currently you're on B2, right?
Plus, like, classes.
Oh, you have F1.
She got the student visa already. That I-20 switch, but she needs to take ELI class for her she never, no, she didn't.
What do you currently?
No, I have a bachelor's in finance, but go out there.
I can't access the site that
You're competing against everybody. Everybody has a bachelor's. Some people have to have this. It's just making yourself look better than
See, if you had, I don't know if you guys have looked on websites at all for jobs or anything like that, or look at like the skills that are necessary. That's why I always encourage students, especially when they're looking. Sometimes they don't know, why am I not getting hired? Why am I not getting interviews? Well, if you don't have, think about it. If you're an employer and you post a posting, and all right, good time.
So like a pass.
Well, it's pass fail, but
I'm not with that. Don't worry. If everyone wants to grab pizza, grab
pass.
This is all these passes. Oh.
Yeah, I ate lunch with yeah, I should go. Yeah, you want and with Dan? Yeah, Dan.
Yeah. I'm just gonna move it
I see.
But, I mean,
It's okay.
well, undergrad, like, I didn't have graduates, a lot more rigorous. I spent a lot more time studying.
I haven't used that.
Yeah, and like some of my other classes.
I have another grade at I'm going to go
Like, I was talking to
well, you cut the time. You're right. It's 3 to 5. Bowling is at 6.
and by the time, like,
Yeah. Bowling is at 6, so you still have. Yeah, we're doing bowling at 6:30.
Remember that with econometrics in the undergrad?
Okay.
it's like a concept, it's just stats.
Yeah.
It's just like I did stats in undergrad, but it was like it's the exact same stuff, but like at the graduate level, for some reason it just seems tougher. And I like just be like the questioning the test, and just like they expect you to teach it yourself more.
Oh, yeah.
So the stats that you need to definitely have a strong background, be able to do stats. It's all like kind of stats.
Did you have to take the GRE?
No, I graduated with 3.3, and well, I went. It's pretty easy.
And you're doing CFA program?
I'm thinking about it. That's one of the strong points is they do have like classes that prepare you for the CFA.
Yeah.
So
There probably is a room somewhere.
that's definitely a good thing to have in your CFA.
Check in that corner, like, by the TV. Check in my closet. There's also blue pants. Blue like
And like you
blue like sweatpants. I think like
how they fly.
Yeah.
I didn't really know I was gonna be in the program weekend before it started.
Oh, wow. So
That's Friday, so
Rush into it. Well, I think I would at least finish this semester if I could get away with it. Yeah, definitely next semester.
哇，人家全都走了，就剩咱们。
What's your question? What's your name? My name is Nameless. What's yours, Manga? What program are you interested in? MS and MA with that certificate.
As long as you understand the reading process, so I can't say for sure.
I'm interested in all programs. How you choose?
有了有了有了。 放弃了，太难了。
No, but I think that you have another combination to be more appealing. Oh, okay.
他跟我想的一样，不好意思。你昨天吃的很好吗？直接把它打回来。
Thank you.
You never took ELI, right?
哎，问题在于头发。 I'm sorry.
Where did you get most of your stuff from? There was that like program there were that seemed like they were the best stuff on there.
Yeah, that one goes so well. Think of your rebuttals easily. It has both sides of the argument. Yeah. World Health Organization. WHO.
他没有固定的时间了。
Please search the search population.
What was your main topic? I forgot. It's like some more stuff.
Is your like a certain subject to focus on? Yeah. She the health aspect of it, and spread it out and stuff.
那一般你还是要用
Talk to me. Being on that subject.
But you gotta go.
It was like a sort of a conceptualization that you had to do some.
Or like somebody has like a big integrator. That's how I do it. Are you beginning or are you just think it's gonna suit them? Like that subject that you were talking about.
基本上只有你们喜欢的不其中我两次。 然后你只有去拿一个证房。
I'm waiting for the phone. We applied for
It's so bad. Nothing stuff. Bus radio machine. That's not.
So your whole pay is partially
But anything like, anytime like, I don't read over these regulations, just for like the betterment of, right, you know, and but at the same, there's always regulations, there's always economic welfare goes down.
We'll see what I'm saying.
Like we're not that's like how everything.
他这来招的是春季的。
If there was more time, I'm pretty sure I would have got pretty heated.
Those are tough ones. Somebody's like personally affected with it, like their guy was personally affected with it, you know? And you go to any level to make
Yeah.
sure.
Also, it was great to say something. So I'm like, I don't want to say anything.
Well, do you know you're going to be fumbled?
Also, he says, yeah, my best friend's a prostitute. I'm sorry.
特别咸，但是还行，挺好玩的。
But you're interested in working with
因为他们
I tried to choose like who's gonna debate against it. Like it was already you guys
Yeah, there was
chose.
leaders.
Oh, and she chose to go on the Lajo side.
感觉一个人拿走一个活。
She figured that it was easier to debate. Yeah, I think more. Oh no, she said we put the call.
Oh man, yeah, that's
I guess that's the easiest one.
yeah, that's yeah, it's like.
吃完直接走。不是，我们还准备带着。
Yeah, one for that.
我们还准备带着走。
The whole team got sick.
你昨天去游过吗？你游过吗？北校有。他们那儿能蒸蒸奶。
Our last debate got canceled.
能不能不游直接蒸蒸奶？
Is corporate America like they're not getting it's like this is one-sided debate. He says it's like obviously no one's going to defend the other side.
我觉得还是挺容易的，
Unless you have
真不难。就是你学过经济吗？哦，那我就这边可能其实都不好，就还是以安徽学生考的，因为学生背景就很多的，包括我学工科，学那个是
因为我们是那公司那个必然给包餐，的话第一季就报不了。
那相当于，那
那个考到 B 是肯定没问题，因为他是就必须要求考到 B，所以考到 B 是肯定没问题。
And they usually take our side is like more for that kind
他
of
没有比以下的是吧？就会
因为他肯定会让你毕业，所以你肯定能考。
但是也确实咱们的课上确实是。那期中考现在已经考过了嘛？那你觉得考完期中考就是肯定已经得到 A，然后 B 都有危险了。但是只要是学一下的话，没问题。
对于你们来说没有什么区别吧？A 和 B 这样。
看你以后想做什么。如果说要想从事 academic 的这种东西的话，那那种 transcript 还有你的 grades 很重要。对，很多对。看，但是如果要工作的话，能力可能。
是那个 Bank of America，当然你们要是有那个。
哦。
都办了 Bank of America。
办了 Bank of America 什么卡？
银行卡。
哦，什么的？
submitted a thing and
like a day
因为
before.
这边不远嘛，离这个地儿大概开车5分钟，那边就有一个 Bank of America Mortgage Center，
That's like,
就专门处理 mortgage，那边有上千人吧。
right, I know. Wow.
这个是。